time to start our regular meeting, and we'll do so with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Barwick.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Steckland.
Here.
Mayor Absher.
Here, we have a contingent from the Boy Scouts here tonight, and we'll hear from them in just a moment. But Mr. Hughes, would you lead us in the pledge? Did I get your name right? Okay, excellent. It's all yours.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that'll bring us to item number 3, which is our section for public comments. And as I mentioned, we do have, looks like 2 Eagle Scouts. Yes? That want to make a presentation, idea presentation to the council. So if you guys would go ahead and come up to the podium, and your advisors there, if they so choose, would be welcome to do so.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
I like the title. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Like Mr. Mayor mentioned, my name is Tyler Hughes, and I am here tonight to get approval to start my Eagle Scout project. So a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Tyler Hughes. I am 17 years old, and I attend Marion High School. I am a lifestyle scout working towards my Eagle Scout, and I'm from Troop 7042. Along with Scouts, I play football. I am on the National Honor Society. I'm a 4-year member of the choir at the school. I'm a Rotary Award recipient, and I've also gotten the academics achievement at Marion High School all 4 years. And I also, while doing this, I've held a job at Subway where I've worked over 600 hours. And I'm a very active at my church, The Journey. So my project, I want to make a flag display for the city on patriotic holidays, such as Veterans Day, 4th of July, Flag Day. And so I want to make these flag brackets so they can slide on, because on the poles out down Main and Market, there are where you guys hang the wreaths around Christmas time. I was going to make brackets and flag holders to slide onto there, so they'll be around the street. And then if you go to the next slide, where's the map of the square, the yellow X's are the ones that I need brackets for. There are places where it looks like there used to be existing brackets for the wreaths. So if those are still available, I was going to ask if I could use those, or if not, I can build new ones. And then the red X's shown are the poles with existing brackets. So there's going to be 24 flags total, and all around the square and going down each 4 streets. And this is something that we can also expand on in the future for other scouts wanting to make more brackets as well. So the schedule and cost, I'm wanting to get started on this display no later than October 1st, and I would like to have it done before Veterans Day this year, so I can get them hung up and displayed for the city. And it's going to cost roughly between $3,500 and $4,000. I'm going to be going around to different lumber yards, different businesses, trying to get funding for it, and for the flags, the holders, and all the tools we might need. And then for the ownership of the project, I would like to build this and turn the flags over to the city. And for other holidays, I know the high school always needs volunteers and service hours. That's something they can do. I want to give this back to the community so they can also be a part of displaying the flags. And if you guys want to hold the flags somewhere as well, I want to turn this over to you guys in the community. I feel like it'd be a great display. And yeah, I hope you guys take my project into consideration, and thank you.
Okay.
Tyler, I have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
I know the Boy Scouts do flags, or had in the past, in front of businesses and places all over town. Is this in conjunction with that, or part of that?
No, actually, this will be the new thing, but we did not want to, because the old flag holders, they've gotten all mucky or they're gone, turned up, and so it's been very hard to find where the flags used to go,
Okay.
because the pipes in the ground have broken or they're disappeared. So yeah, this is where I got my inspiration for the project, is to reamp.
So these brackets will be on, if I understand right, looking at your diagram, on the black poles out here?
Yes,
You're
sir.
saying some of them are already on there?
Yes, sir. So around Christmas time, the wreaths that go
Uh-huh.
on around the square, they have brackets on the side of those poles, to where the wreaths will just pop in and slide down. And then around the square in the middle, they're on the poles. You can see where brackets used to be, but they're not there anymore. You can see where there's white paint under there. And yeah, I would like to make new brackets too, if need be.
Okay. How big would the flags be, or do you know yet?
Just a standard 3x5, and they would be angled to where they would be hanging into the street, but they'd be angled up so no traffic would disturb the flags or break anything.
It's for you. Get bonus points if you know what that song is. Dang it. You guys are no fun.
All right.
Okay, so not to belabor this, but are the flags going to be perpendicular to the street or parallel to well, I should say the square? In other words, if this is the flagpole, are they going to come out each side of it like this, or out the front over the square?
It's going to be the front towards the road, but they're not going to be sticking like straight out into traffic. I'm going to have to angle them upwards so that no traffic will hit them. And there's going to be one on each pole.
Okay. And you think you can raise all the money to do this? You need the
Yes, sir.
city's participation, or you just need our permission, so to speak, to hang them on there?
I mean, I would be greatly appreciative if the city could help out with it. But no, that'd be no problem though. I can raise the money myself if need be.
So is it a situation that you need to see what you can raise elsewhere, and then you'll come back to us for what's left over, or do you need us to agree to something at this point, or what's your suggestion?
I can always come back, but yeah, I would be really, really appreciative if the city could help fund a big chunk of that.
Okay. How big of a chunk?
How big's the check?
Well, if we're going to start talking, so $3,500 for 24 flags is like $150 a flag, roughly 145, something along in there. Is that?
Yeah, so I can get a lot of 12 for $555 before tax, and I need 24. So that's going to be $1,100 before tax, and then I have to buy the holders, more metal if I need to make more brackets, the screws, drill bits to drill it all in, and spray paint to make sure the color matches up with the color of the poles out there.
Okay.
And that's just a rough estimate, but I would probably $3,500 will be, that'd be the start probably. It'd be at least that,
It'd be at least that, or at most that?
at least. Yeah. Alrighty. Yes, sir. Yeah, the main thing I was coming here tonight was just to get your guys' approval so I can get to start working on it, and then I can always come back too.
How much did you say the flag portion was? 1,100? Is that what?
Yes, sir, for all 24 of just the flags.
Okay. Do you think you can raise, if we'll pay for the flags, do you think you can raise the money for the other portions of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you guys okay with that? We can do that out of the project fund, I think. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay? All
Will
right.
will these flags be, for instance, pick a holiday, veterans, will they be put up that morning and take it down that night?
Yes, sir.
And who does that?
So I was gonna put them up on Veterans Day of this year, and I can take them down too. But then I would like to turn it over to the city or even different clubs and organizations. I know kids at the high school need volunteer service hours, and we can get people to hang them up
Okay.
on every patriotic holiday.
Well, they need a place to store them too.
Yeah, we're going to, at the end of it, we're going to have to
Yeah.
coordinate that somehow. I think
Yeah.
that's part of what happened in the KC element is that it just kind of got lost over the years maybe and just it wasn't able to keep up with it, and names and faces and people change and that kind of thing. So, okay. So they'll get you started if we'll agree to pay for the flags.
Yes, sir.
And then you can, if you need more, then you'll have to visit back with me or the council. But if you're wanting to get this done by October 1st, I want to be able to get you started with that so that you can at least order those flags.
Is the
So,
price of those flags made in USA flags?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, okay, good. Okay.
okay. If, wouldn't be a lot, but if you want us to order the flags, if you know exactly what it is and want us to have to cash flow that, we can do that as opposed to writing you a check and you having to float it or something. So I don't know what works best for you guys, but if you want us to do that, just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Sales tax too.
Okay? All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Excited.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. They're taped together.
Oh,
One more.
You're skipping me.
Hand it out back.
Thank you.
A little more robust.
Hello, my name is Peyton Odom. I am also currently working on my Eagle Scout. I am a Life Scout. I also attend Marion High School. I am currently seeking your approval for my Eagle Scout project, which is building a sign for Marion on the southbound exit 54 off 557. I have been an active part of this community for, well, ever since I was born, I guess. I've also been a very active member in my scout troop over the years. I'm an OA member, an HS member at the high school, in all of the honors clubs I think I can be in. I take many AP classes, and I'm here to seek your approval for my project, which is building a sign for Marion.
You got 2 locations in this brochure for us, both of which you and I have talked about.
Yep.
But is that just like an alternate?
Yes, that's an
One or
alternate.
the other, right? Okay. And did you guys see this? Did you pass that down?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you describe what this would be made out of and how
Yes.
durable it would
Yes.
be and that kind of thing?
So, since it would be coming right off the interstate, we don't want it to be incredibly durable, just in case there is any collision with the sign itself, since it is in an area where wrecks do happen or accidents do happen. So it would be made out of brick material. That would be the clock tower base, or actually the base of the clock tower would be a wooden post, and then around that I would build brick. The actual base that goes around the sign would be made out of brick. The post on the opposite side would be made out of cedar. The wood in between the 2 posts that will have the letters on them, the Welcome to Marion part, that would be made out of 2x4s and then stained and sealed. And that is this right here. This is just a sample of what the actual material would be. And the material on top of the clock tower, to give it the patina would be copper. It would start out looking like this, but I am able to make it look patinaed. And I would paint the posts. The posts that hold up the top of the clock tower would be made out of wood, and they would be sealed as well. And I do have means to shape the metal and make that clock tower look proper. Yeah,
I hate to ask this question, but can you use fake copper so that somebody doesn't try to steal it?
I can. I think I could do that. I could probably make it out of
Unfortunate
plastic.
reality. Would that be harder or easier?
It would be harder, but I do have the means to do that. It would just have to be a very thin plastic. I would probably build the base of the clock, or the top of the clock tower out of wood, and then I would fold colored plastic around that to make it look. It would be a very high quality plastic.
Okay.
I mean, that was the plan with the copper, high quality, but I can change it.
I see no mention of dollar signs or math in here, so have you already
Yes.
raised your funds to do this?
I have not, but I currently, I don't have any labor costs currently other than food and water, and those will be provided by myself. I hope that I am able to get, Stotler and Menards have been very generous in the past with donations, extremely generous. And I'm hoping to get a lot of my materials for this project donated. I have the means to build it myself, so the tools are not the issue, it's just the materials.
Did you reach out to IDOT at all?
I have not reached out to IDOT. I came here seeking your approval beforehand, and then I was going to reach out to them. With that being said, current timeline, if all goes according to plan, the ideal timeline would be late October into late December for the actual building to
Okay.
happen.
Hey, Glenn, could you come up for a second?
But, well, things never go according to plan.
Come on now. These are what he's wanting to do. Something like that, two different alternates there.
Well, that would have to be, this, is it on the diverging diamond?
Yes.
It's as your,
The city of Marion's jurisdiction,
it is?
yes.
Oh.
Now, the bridge itself is IDOT. Bridge maintenance.
What about that alternate location where it's off there in the median? Is that our jurisdiction or is that IDOT?
You mean this one here?
No, this one. That's on the approach to this.
This would be Marion's jurisdiction if it's on the approach.
This too?
We have to be careful with this. And I think we can get approval of this, and I don't think we could,
Okay.
So am I hearing keep it away from the bridge?
we need to get IDOT's approval, whatever we do.
Well, that's why I called you up here.
I understand that. In fact, I think we could put it here. I question whether we put it there.
Okay. Could, before they leave, could you get their contact numbers and would you run this up that IDOT flagpole and see what their demeanor is on either of these?
Can I have one of those?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually.
I can imagine their first comment will be sight distance, make sure we're not blocking the traffic, view, but
I would even loan this to you if it will help you in your endeavor.
No, we won't make any.
Good, I was hoping you'd say that. Okay.
Before you leave, I need your phone number.
Okay, yes, sir.
What else you got? Anything?
That's all I have.
That's plenty, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's plenty of project. Well, assuming, guys, that they can find a location that works for that, is there any objection to him proceeding with a welcome sign as his project? Doug?
Not at all. I think it's a great idea. I want you to get through the IDOT red tape because there will be some. But hopefully we can convince them that this is a good, viable project.
Thank you.
Wish we had them at all exits.
I do too.
But we're kind of working on that a little bit. Doug's working on the backside of 13.
I used to work there and they don't even call me back now, so it's,
That's unfortunate.
Well, we wish you the best of
Keep
luck,
trying.
and I'll have Glenn work with you and see if we cannot get IDOT to cooperate and get you a location so that you can get started.
Okay.
So best of luck to both of you. You guys need to decide what you want to do as far as whether you want us to pay for the flags or not, and get back with me. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir.
Do you guys want to keep that sign?
Can we?
You can.
Would you rather have it back? Did you 3D print it? You probably want it back. Dang it.
It's
I was going to give that away as a Christmas
good
present.
replica.
Make a heck of an ornament. That might have been a hint. I don't think he got it. Okay. I think Curtis wants to get a picture of these guys, so, or talk to them. You want us to wait for you, Curtis, or you? Okay. All right, we will continue then with the audience to visitors. Is there anybody that'd like to speak to the council? I want to remind everybody this is subject to regulation by Ordinance 3128, which was amended by Ordinance 3134, both of which are on this counter up here by the beautiful plant. So, Donnie, I know you do. Anybody? Let me see if anybody else wish to speak for the council? You want to go first? Then you want to go first? Or go. Somebody's got to go first. Go, Donnie. Donnie, usual deal. I'm going to give you
Usual deal.
a 4-minute warning,
deal.
and I'm going to hold you
I
to
know.
5 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
I just messed up. Hang on a second.
Okay. I'll say this: those young men that will, at a young age, it will get up and speak in front of the audience. They're on the right track. I can remember I remember I dropped one speech class because I had to give a speech. I just dropped the class. Now, I was in my 20s at that time, so they're on the right track. Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay.
And so, what I was, because of the different things at 9/11 and just the importance of the anniversary of 9/11 and just different things kind of stirred me for this to just address the name of this is the importance of the truth. And so my scripture verse, I start out with scripture verse, is John 8:32, and it says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So there's an importance when things have happened and things in the media and things people's understanding. It's critical that we know the truth, because the truth has a power to make us free, to give us liberty. That if there's deception that we've entered into, well, we're going to be bound to a degree by that. So that's the name. That's the thing. Importance of the truth. Deception, when it's not true and people enter into that, the deception has a power to enslave you. The truth has power to set you free. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So the very opposite of that, deception will bind you. So anyway, okay. I've got here that light, in the good book, light equals truth. So the Lord is the light, the way, the truth, and the life. He's the light of lights. And so the Lord's truth gives you light where you can see deception. Okay. Darkness equals lies and deception. The devil's the prince of darkness because he's got power, authority in darkness. The prince of darkness. Okay. The order of these things, I've just got a lot of things down here, so I don't have things ordered like I need to. Zechariah 8:16, I'll just speak the good book. Zechariah 8:16 says that every man or woman speak the truth to their neighbor. There's an importance to that. The name of this is the importance of truth. Okay. All right, I got down here, you must make a thorough effort to get the truth out. If you just go with the lie and what everybody's telling you to do, and you don't use your mind, you don't question the facts that are presented to you, well, you're not going to overcome the deception. You're not going to get the truth out that's needed and important to be free. For your community to be free, for you to be free, and to remain free, it takes an intensity to get the truth out. Okay. So I had Zechariah 8:16 says, every man or woman speak truth to their neighbor. I got John 8:32 here, and I've already said this. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Then John 14:6 says, the Lord himself says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so when you give yourself to the good book, to the Bible, to the good book, to Scripture, it has a power to reveal things to you. It's light. I've got that scripture I've said several times in here, but I've misquoted a few times. It's Psalms 119, 104, and 5. It says, the word is a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your path. I misquoted. I said that was Psalms 103, but that's Psalms 119. So you can see. We're talking about the importance of the truth. Okay. All right. Okay, now, some of the things, the negative things to the truth, I've got written down here. The media covering, they cover a corrupt, the media in general.
Got 1 minute, Donnie.
They cover a corrupt spin of things. There's a corrupt spin of deception that's not quite right, and that's what they cover and keep pushing. So they keep, I mean, there's entities in the world that push deception. Deception covers the very thing that causes you to be free. So it's just not like, well, they believe what they want to believe and whatever. No. That deception will affect you. The truth will affect you, and the deception will affect you as well. So that's got to be resisted. You just can't enter in to corrupt narratives that are wrong and not be affected by that. Can you hear me? That's a good word. I know I've got a lot of sporadic thoughts, but that's a good word.
10
Any
seconds.
entity that
10
pushes-
seconds. You need to finish up.
Okay. Is that another minute already?
I warned you in a minute. Now there's 3, 2, 1 seconds left. So
Well, okay. All right. So I'll finish up with another scripture verse. It says, the glory of the Lord is to conceal a thing. The glory of the Lord is to conceal. This is Proverbs 25:2. The glory of the Lord is to conceal a thing, but it's the honor of a king or a person to search a matter out. So when they're saying all this stuff, and it just don't seem quite right to you, it's your honor. You have to search it out. It says it's the glory of the Lord to conceal a thing, but it's the honor of a man or a person. It's our responsibility to search that matter out. And I've just got a couple questions here. I'll just leave those alone. But it's Proverbs 29:4. It says, when there's a corrupt leaders overthrow the land. Right leaders establish the land. But corrupt leaders overthrow the land. That's Proverbs 29:4. And I'll say this again. The glory of the Lord is to conceal a thing, but it's the honor of a king to search a matter out. Honor of a person to search a matter out. Okay, I'm not going to end. I guess that's. Oh, and I wanted to.
Donnie, you need to.
here.
No, you need to be done. You
Okay.
just keep taking more time and more time and more time.
I just wanted to find.
No, sit down, please. You and I talk about it, and you get a minute left, and then you just keep going.
Okay,
So, I don't know why we do that.
that's a little hard to keep track of things. All right.
Okay, Carmen.
I'd like to say too, the people in front of me, they spoke a lot longer than 5 minutes. 20 minutes.
Well, there's a one-time deal. You speak every time, Donnie.
No, I don't speak every time.
Good evening. That's kind of a hard act to follow. Everybody knows me, Carmen Allen Adeoye. For those of you that don't know me, wanted to come here today because the last city council meeting, I felt encouraged, empowered, and you gave me, Mayor, a spurt of energy. I saw the passion in which you talked about your building over there, the Citadel, and how you wanted to refurbish because it was historic. And so I thought, wow, he put a whole lot of energy in that, so it gave me, I thought, I might need to get up there and Can y'all hear me? I might need to get up there and talk about what my passion is, which of course is Boynton Street, because we know that it's historic, and we know that the rescue funds are available to some extent. I don't know what extent, but I see we have a nice, pretty parking lot at the Boynton Street now, and that's really good. But what we don't have is a building worthy of that parking lot. And so today I'd like to talk about or ask what are some of the things that is going to happen. Can we get some improvements? That building, I think I marched in the 70s for that building, so you know it's near and dear to me why it's there. And I think around the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, with the help of Congressman at the time, left my name, Bradley, helped me put an add-on. And so that's the newest part of it. But the old part has never had anything done to it, and it's really in sad, sad shape. And so I'm here today to ask, is there something going to be done with it? Because my vision, it may not be everyone's vision, but because I'm so passionate about this particular place, because it is historic on top of everything, if you guys do something, it helps a lot of us out, not just the underserved, but the unions, because there's your work, union strong here. And then once they get it done, you know, of course, it's still a part of the city, so you still got your union workers working on the inside. Just want to know where we standing with that. I haven't heard anything, because I seen a little blurb on the news. I forgot what channel it was, but you were talking about some of that rescue money in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, or maybe I was misunderstanding something. So I'm actually saying, but I'm asking at the same time. Where is there anything where are we at with that, or have you even thought about that building? Because I would be really sad if all that march was in vain.
If you guys don't mind, it's a little out of ordinary to answer a question, but I know this is on your mind, so I'd like to take that opportunity to do that. So there's two issues here, which may or may not ultimately connect. There's no question that Boynton Street has, I hate to use the word dilapidated, but I don't really have another word coming to mind.
Rundown works for me too. I get
At
it.
minimum, it's not even been painted for many years, or the siding needs to be redone and that kind of thing. One thing it's grossly under-equipped with is restrooms, for example. And just before COVID era started, we'd actually had, matter of fact, Mr. White sitting there, Gail White, and I've got I want to call it a preliminary set of plans, but it was a sketch on how those bathrooms could be reconfigured and whatnot. We think that it'd take about $250,000 to renovate at minimum the inside of the building and reskin it, if you will, for lack of a better term. That was all money that we talked about literally a couple of years ago at this point, and everybody knows things have changed, so I wouldn't be surprised if those cost estimates have gone up. We also talked about the potential, not knowing whether one would fit on that property, of a half gym, just to basically between the ball fields and where the south end of the building is now. And then COVID hit, and it, along with many other projects at the time, just stopped. Now, relative to the ARPA funds, which are the American Rescue Plan Act, it's unknown at this point whether those funds can be used for a project like that. There are several that I would love, you and I are on the same page with that part. I would love for it to be able to. That would free up a lot of other priorities, so to speak, that we've got also to do if it could be used for those funds. There are 4 buckets of items, basically, that is in that legislation that we can use those funds for, depending on your mindset when you read it. It's kind of a silly analogy, but I said this the other day. If you get on the internet to diagnose why you feel bad, you can diagnose yourself with a lot of things. which is why you should stay off the internet to not diagnose yourself with things. You read this legislation, if you're looking for something like this project, you can read in there and go, oh yeah, that's a slam dunk. Of course we could use it for that. I would also like to use some of those funds to rehabilitate the Senior Citizens Center, which has also been not invested in maybe to the degree that it should have been over the years. But it's very uncertain whether we can do that. So to that end, Cody and I have a call on Wednesday with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, which apparently is turned into, there's no one at the Treasury at the federal level that you can ask a question of. As a matter of fact, the best advice that I got was to send them an email, which was laughable. I just send the Treasury an email, and hopefully you're going to get an answer back on whether you can do this project or the other. So this Illinois agency, DCEO, is self-appointed, to try to help municipalities because we're all scratching our heads trying to figure this out. I will caution you a little bit on the timeline of it. Municipalities have several years in order to obligate these funds. Now, that's not my goal, nor should it be. I'm just telling you this is not an imminent decision. You have to spend it or lose it type of thing. We got 6 months to spend it. That's not the case. My biggest fear is that we commit to spending it for something that ultimately ends up deemed not eligible, and that puts the taxpayer kind of in a lurch. So on the one hand, I hope what you hope for is the same, and hopefully we'll be able to use some of those funds for that. I will tell you, push that whole issue aside on this federal funds. We do have some money set aside at minimum to do, at least based on what we thought it was going to cost a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, this bathroom renovation and all that. That part I can pretty much tell you we're going to find a way to do the minimum amount there needed to get the bathrooms in order and get that old paneling off the walls that's on the inside and just get it updated. Getting it bigger, that's a whole nother issue. It becomes much more expensive with the gym and that kind of thing. So that I hope to know more on after Wednesday, or at least have asked the question. So I get what you're saying. I just don't know if it's going to be eligible for that purpose or not.
Okay, and let's just play the devil's advocate. Suppose we get some of it, maybe a little bit, maybe a crumb of it. Would it be possible? Now, I know there's some businesses. I'm not real well versed on it, but I know there's some businesses. One of them's across the street, and one of them's across the tracks from that particular area. Now, don't they have some gambling machines that maybe you can get some revenue up off of that as well and add to it? Because, everybody I know, it's been my understanding that folks, when they can't eat it or work, they'll gamble and eat. They'll gamble and drink. So I'm saying that to say, maybe we can dip into that little well and spill it on over there, because Boyden Street is a community center. It's passion to me. I would hate for it to become like Carbondale's Irma Hayes Center, because I personally invested my time as a 17-year-old marching for that center. So it would really kill me if I saw it disappear because of lack of management, and nothing has happened to it since I've been here.
So the answer is yes. Those funds, when we changed the fee structure for those machines, that was about a year and a half ago, I think. Is that right, Cody? That was one of the uses that I outlined back then very specifically. Not just that facility, but a lot of the other things that you see going on, those fees are funding along with other revenue sources. So yes, in short, we would have to combine some of those funds, especially if we do the half gym or something like that.
I know that kitchen could be, it serves a lot of people in that area and in the surrounding neighborhoods. So I know that it probably could do with some real facelift as well.
Most of the kitchen equipment, at least a year and a half ago we went through there, was in pretty decent shape. It's more of a layout issue and that kind of thing.
Right, because COVID, and you need somewhere that these people can slide through and not really have any,
No, I understand.
So I'm just thinking out loud on some things, just asking, because, I see Marion is getting a facelift all over. My passion is still going to be my precinct, my neighborhood and what I've marched for all my life.
I understand
I
that.
just want Marion to come up to date with everything else. I don't want to be left behind. And the sidewalks, they're all right. Thank you, Doug. But that just won't do. I'm wanting more. I'm greedy because I've been here for 50-something years, and I just really think that neighborhood, that area deserves more. And not just that area, Sherman over there where they got problems, and I'm working on some projects to help. It's not like I'm just concentrated there, but for right now, my immediate concern is Boyden Street. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Who else? Okay, let's move on then, if there's no one else, to the consent agenda. I've got a little bit of housekeeping to tell you about here. Item B2, the designate that the library had named in item B2 has changed from what is listed. You can just cross that out to Jaden, Jaden, Rue. Is that how you pronounce the last name? Ruhe. Again, that's item B2 for the part-time library assistant position. Change what is listed to Jaden Rue. Before we ask for a motion, is there any other change in any other item or any of those that any of the commissioners would like removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately? Any item A through E that anyone from the audience would like voted upon separately, pulled out of the consent agenda? If not, I'm entertained to pass the consent agenda as presented with that one change to item B2.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda A through E as written with the change to B2.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or discussion on any item A through E? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Before we get to new business, I've got quite a bit of housekeeping to do here. We made an error on the ordinance numeration. Just simply picked the wrong string of digits to plug in there, and it made several of them wrong. So if you just take your pencil and mark out the ordinance numbers that are in each item and replace them with the one that I read you. So item 5D is in Delta. Currently reads 3662. The correct number is 3741. Next item 5E, 5 Echo. What reads is 3664. Should read 3742. We'll skip down to item 8B as in Bravo. What reads now 3663 should be 3743. 8C, what reads as 3665 should be 3744. Item 8D is in Delta. Currently reads 3666. Should read 3745. And item 8E is an Echo. Currently reads 3667. Is 3746. We need to be very careful when we're reading these that we get the right number in there so we don't have a little bit of a train wreck there. Okay, that brings us to item number 5 under Public Affairs. We've got quite a bit here to go through. Let me turn to my right section here. Item 5A. See in your packets, we did have a bid opening for the City Council or City Hall project at what is now formerly the First Southern Bank building. Got 2 pages in item 5A that include all the tabulations. We had 7 bidders. We did have in the packet the option to refuse any or all bids. There was 1 base bid that we asked for, all-inclusive bid. Again, these are general contracting numbers. And then we had 4 alternate bids, all of which we're going to recommend that we accept. The basis of this recommendation is not just on price alone, although the prices were pretty close, but it also had to do with the responsiveness of the bid package in terms of all the things that we asked for in the bid package. Had to do with evaluation of any references that might be available on our own work or past work with a particular contractor or current jobs for a particular contractor, and then a review of litigation that was disclosed by contractors that they might be involved in. And according to that evaluation, it's our, I'm putting this in form of a motion, Tammy, that we accept a bid from Smith Hafley, including 4 alternate bids, for $3,827,800. The 4 alternate bids has to do with lightning protection on the building, keeping in mind that we may have at some point in the near future a backup emergency management office in the basement, and it was recommended that we basically have a system of lightning rods on the top of that building. We are leaving the current windows that are in the building, the historic windows, but there's another bid, basically in this case for $25,000, to put another layer. Am I saying that right? On the inside of the windows that also provides a gap. Is that gas-filled gap? Or just another window with air in the middle of it? Yeah. So we feel like with those old windows, rather than go through the expense of replacing the windows, it's just a lot cheaper to put another layer in there, which hopefully will save us a lot of energy over the course of time.
Are the existing windows a single pane? Okay, so we're just basically adding another pane to get the, yeah.
Yeah. The third alternate, it was a metal screening product that goes on the western side of City Hall, where we're having to build an external staircase for access to the mezzanine level and the treasurer's level and the second story, right? All 4 of those. So this has to do with a metal screening product. Tell us, Gail, what is that for, other than it's not aesthetic, it's for weather concerns, correct?
One of the code requirements is to provide protection on an exterior stairway. So if we had rain that freezes and causes a freezing condition on the steps, there's a code provision that we need to maintain the steps dry. So the purpose of the screen is to reduce or minimize the amount of water that could collect on the stair steps.
Okay. And the 4th alternate bid is bipolar ionization. And as I understand that, which is not super well, but it's a new technology that basically charges the particles as it's being filtered through the HVAC system, that makes them heavier, for lack of a better term, and able to be caught in the filtration systems a little bit better. And our vendors thought that might make a good, it's actually not very much money. In this case, it's only $2,000. It is a little bit of an unproven and a new technology, but it's supposed to be up and coming, and they think during this COVID era might make a lot of sense for us to invest in that. Did I encapsulate that correctly as you understood it? Okay. So that first part is my motion, to award the bid to Smith Hafley for $3.8278 million, $3,827,800, including the 4 alternate bids.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions or discussion on this? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay?
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 5B, also predicate before we can start that work. We did have some asbestos in that building to abate. As you'll see in your packet, we had 5 asbestos abatement contractors that bid. Had quite a range in that, and I felt like got a very good price on that. We also got pretty lucky in terms of although there is some some asbestos over there. It's not nearly to the extent that it could have been given the age of the building, in my opinion anyway. So our low bid on that contract was from General Waste Services in the amount of $133,250. And that would be my motion to award that asbestos abatement bid to General Waste Services for that amount.
I would second that.
Any questions on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 5C, might need your help on this one, Gail, if you can explain this just a little bit, why we need this. Or Cody, you can do that? Let me make the, well, no, let's just discuss it first. Not comfortable doing that yet.
So our consultant for the asbestos part of this contract is different than White & Borgognoni. This is, we went with Farmer Environmental. This process at the end of the abatement will be to test the air of the facility because of the type of asbestos and the materials that the asbestos is in over there. It will have to be a full containment project basically, so they'll have to shower up before they leave and do all that kind of stuff because it will be in the air. So it's not necessarily a requirement, but for the sake of our general contractor and anyone else that might be in that building, the air quality testing is my recommendation that we get that done. And then they will also process any kind of the administration of that project from the abatement portion as well at $75 an hour. I expect that to be very minimal, just probably 2 to 3 pay application processes. And then ultimately, that $6,000 price to come in and do the air testing once the abatement project is completed.
In total, you think it'd be $8,000 or less?
I can't imagine
$7,000
it exceeding $8,000.
Okay. Okay, before we discuss it anymore, let me make a motion. I would move to approve the oversight and air monitoring services from Farmer Environmental on the abatement portion of the First Southern Bank City Hall project.
Second that motion.
You guys have any concerns with this or questions about it? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Okay, ordinance 3741 as part of 5 Delta in your packet. As you guys may or may not know, we've had a project labor agreement structure, not specific project labor agreement, but an agreement to have an agreement, if you will, with the Egyptian building trades for about last 10 years. That has been nominally a 3-year contract. This is just a renewal. It's literally a duplicate or copy and paste from what our one was 3 years ago. This is a 5-year contract as opposed to a 3. The only material change is the amount of project cost in the 5th whereas of that moved from being $100,000 to $150,000. And that's my motion that we approve ordinance 3741, authorizing a project labor agreement with Egyptian Building Trades.
I'd second that.
Any questions or concerns on this item? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay, okay. Item 5E, Wendy? I'll ask Wendy to talk about this. You guys have, I think she emailed this to us all a couple of weeks ago. Maybe you guys communicated with her any questions that you had, but this is opening discussion on establishing some regulations and requirement for massage establishments in the city. Can you kind of tell us the genesis of why you're recommending this and what's
Yeah,
going
so
on?
the city of Marion hasn't really had much regulation of these types of establishments. We're starting to see more and more of these open up within the city. We have an ordinance previously on the books, but all it really required was just for them to register. Anytime they opened a new business, they had to register with the city clerk. That was it. There was really no other oversight or regulation at all. And there's starting to be some increased activities, some criminal in nature at some of these establishments. And just to kind of help combat that, and in looking at a lot of other municipalities around us, they do have a lot more stringent regulation of these types of facilities. And so that was something that I thought that we needed to do here in the city of Marion to try to help combat some of the increased concerned activities that are going on at some of the facilities here in Marion, or the establishments here in Marion. So that's the reason for the increased regulation, a little bit more. So it requires them to get a permit to operate the massage facility establishment within the city. They have to provide copies of the license number, because all massage therapists are required to be licensed through the state of Illinois. At this point, we have no idea if any of the people working doing the massages at some of these places in town are even licensed or not, because that's not part of what we required in the past, and we need to make sure they are licensed. State law requires them to be licensed, so part of what this does is requires them to turn over copies of the license to show that all of the massage therapists working in these establishments are properly licensed by the state, that the establishments are, the facility itself is up to building and code standards, sanitation standards, things like that. Does anybody have any questions? I know I sent this to you guys a little bit ago. Have you had a chance to read through it or have any questions?
It's very thorough.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, this is not requiring physical plant changes from us per se. Like one says a bathtub must be so if they don't have one, they're not required to install one, correct?
Right, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't think it said that, but I just want to make sure.
Wendy, I had one question that I actually didn't have and just found it. I should ask. On 487 under inspections, I was trying to look back and see how you defined it. It talks about item 483, under licenses 483D, it says a business shall immediately produce upon request by a city code enforcement officer or law enforcement officer the following information. Now hold on to that. And then in 487, it just simply says the city has the right to enter the premises.
Right.
Is that same group of people, either my question ultimately is code enforcement by this ordinance equally empowered along with law enforcement to enter
Yes.
that facility?
So I think there's a couple different, yes, I think code
Okay.
enforcement and law enforcement.
Okay.
Because I think the code enforcement officers are going to have a very different frame of mind when they go into these facilities and do their inspections. They're going to be looking for very different things than law enforcement will be looking for when they go in to do inspections or verify that people have licenses, that they are
Okay.
legitimate businesses.
But those are our two agencies that by this ordinance that can enter for any of these reasons?
That's what I'm envisioning, other than the fire department for
Right.
life safety code, yeah.
Okay.
And you think those two are meshed well enough in this to be fine? I had the same question, Mike, under 487 inspections, because there it leads you to believe that the inspection will be only for the purpose of determining compliance with the code.
Well, and that's something that have discussed with our Building and Code Services Department about whether we do want to, hate to amend it already, we haven't even passed it.
Yeah.
About whether we want to add in some sort of annual inspection or something at a regular interval so that there are some sort of regular inspections being done, at least as far as the Building and Code Department is concerned. Now, law enforcement, I've not had that discussion with them yet. So I don't know if that's something that they would want.
Well, I think we should start with an inspection after we pass this ordinance, and then we can tackle that, as we come up on some sort of time interval, maybe depending on what they find, too. I don't know. there's been a largely unregulated activity, right? That answer your question? I think we're on the same page there.
And a copy of this was shared with Chief Fitz, and I believe he responded that he had no issues. He had reviewed it, did not see any issues with his department.
Time-wise, does it seem like your officer's time is going up on this issue or with these places? Not really. Okay, so it's not been a problem, other than very isolated probably. Yeah.
It's mainly on personnel, and our personnel, putting this as nicely as I can, aren't from here, so they rotate out. So what we've noticed is who you have working in these places today probably will not be here next week.
Okay.
So we try to
I think that'll.
force something with the correct person has been a challenge.
Okay.
I can see probably wanting to do something on inspection, like Airbnbs, what do we do, yearly, 6 months or something like that? After, I could see us putting a timeline at some point. I don't know that we need to do it tonight.
And that was the recommendation of the Building and Code Department as well, to do some sort of a regular
Yeah.
interval type of inspection.
I think that's,
Just keep in mind, at some point, I know I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, at some point, we can't keep adding more inspections without adding some more resources in that department, or
Yeah.
we're getting to that point quickly.
Yes, we
So,
are.
just, I'm not saying we're there right this second, but there's only so many hours in the day to do stuff, so. Okay, I did not make a motion on that, right? Let me go ahead and make this motion, and you guys can ask any other questions, or we can discuss it further, but I would move that we approve ordinance 3742, amending regulations and requirements for massage establishments.
Second.
Okay, any other questions for Wendy, or any other concerns on this, or suggestions? I mean, I guess we get started. Is this is one of those, because it's new, it has to be on display for 30 days, or?
I would recommend that it is, because it's new enough. I think these regulations are new enough. I think it would need to be on display, and I think a copy of this would probably need to be sent to each of the current massage establishments that we have in town to put them on notice of what the requirements are going to be, so that they can all get into compliance as quickly as possible.
Okay. Okay, if no further discussion, we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. All right, thank you, Wendy. Under Public Works, thank gosh, I'll let you take over, somebody else. You want to walk us through all this?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we've got a few things here tonight that mainly we've been working on since before the budget year. I guess the first two items, the demolition of the old water treatment plant and the asbestos removal, go hand in hand. That is part of a larger project, like I said, that we have budgeted for, put money aside to ultimately improve the 12-inch mains that are leaving the high service pumps down there at the plant. The building itself just happens to be in the way of that, and it is, it's in ill repair, and it's not being used for anything else. So the building is going to have to come down so we can do this water main work to better serve Marion, to improve the condition of the pipes there at the plant, so we don't have any major malfunction right there at the water sources, and we would be able to feed the town in two separate directions going forward. That's just a little history of what we're doing this for. We received 2 bids for the demolition of the old treatment plant. One Earth Service bid $81,100 for that demolition, and McVicker Excavating bid $89,750. Both companies are good companies. I would recommend we accept the low bid from Earth Services for $81,100 to do that work. It actually came in below our estimates and below what we originally budgeted in our budget for this fiscal year also. So
What did you budget for this?
I think in the budget, we put in $120,000. Now that $120,000, there's some asbestos removal that we really didn't count on. But there's also a few other things that we need to rebuild some walls. We're going to try to do that stuff in-house, so the cost will be minimal compared to this. But I think the $120,000 is still going to be above what we're going to be out for the entire project.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid for $81,100 from Earth Services for the asbestos removal.
That's for the actual demolition.
Demolition,
Yes,
excuse me, of
sorry.
the old water treatment plant.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 6B.
Okay, the other part that went along with this, and like I said, caught us off guard a little bit, shouldn't have, because old buildings have asbestos in them, as you saw in the city hall. But we got a couple bids to remove some ceiling tiles. It's not the kind of, I guess, asbestos removal he talked about earlier, where you have to do a complete containment or anything like that. It's a fairly simple, probably a 1 or 2 day job. Of course, the cost of it, we had to get some bids on it because it was above what we can, do in-house. We had 2 bids, one from Sinpro for $16,300 to do the work, and A&A Asbestos Abatement LLC offered a bid of $11,680. So I would recommend approval of the low bid for that to get the project rolling.
That should be item 6A.
That's 6A.
Huh?
Asbestos was 6A.
They're reversed.
Yeah.
Oh, did it get
Demo was
back in
6B.
the
We're
wrong
okay,
order?
right? I didn't mess
Yeah.
anything up?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're good.
got it.
All right, so I would make a motion then to approve the asbestos removal bid by A&A Abatement for $11,680 for removing.
Second that.
Yeah, water treatment.
Brent, was this part of the plans or architect involved with this as far as?
Greg Kwasniewski
Okay.
was the architect involved in this. Yeah, we
Okay.
brought him in because we did have some structural questions about the demolition of the building and how we need to go about that, supporting some walls, and then to rebuild. So, yeah, he was in charge of most of the bidding and stuff on this, so.
And A&A Abatement, what do we know about them? They're okay?
Now,
They do
now,
this
I
type
don't,
of work? I mean, obviously they do, but,
these 2 bids were basically brought about with him. So we're basically trusting his judgment
Okay.
to bring in companies that can do the work.
all right.
Both Earth Services and McVicker, this was their sub, so to speak?
No, we actually, we did this separate. This is a separate bidding process to get done. We didn't
I
have the
understand.
demolition people include this in their bid.
Right.
Greg.
Greg did.
Greg
Greg
did.
brought this.
Well, yes, at our direction, yes.
Okay.
We actually, like I said, this came in kind of after the fact when some of the guys got in there, they looked up, saw some ceiling tiles that were questionable, had them tested, they were asbestos. So we brought this in to make sure this is done before they start the demo. And then they didn't have to add a fee for having a
Yeah.
sub or anything like that. I think this is the best way to do
Yeah.
it, so,
I just wanted to clarify.
yeah.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Okay, item 6C. This is kind of a big one.
This is a big one. There may be more questions about this one. Can we skip to D, or do we need to stay in order?
No, we can skip.
Okay. This is this is an item here that it needs to be done. We need to secure the water treatment plant down there. We've had to remove some fence down there to clear a tree line. The fence had been overgrown and had trees growing in it, so we removed that part of the fence. Actually, during part of when we were doing an extension of the 12-inch water main coming into the plant from the water tower, all this kind of happened. The fence needs to be put back. So I had Cliff put together some bids. It looks like he did good. He got 4 separate bids. I don't know if I need to read those. They range from $10,900 to a low bid of, where was that?
Freedom, it looks like, is,
Do you want to read them?
no, Freedom is what I think the low bid is.
Allegiance looks like that was the low bid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
$8,259.30.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he had them in order when he gave them to me, so,
Yeah, that would be way simple, wouldn't it,
yeah.
if I read them in order?
Well, but that was the low bid. I've not done business with Allegiant Fence, but I'm assuming it's a pretty straightforward operation.
I mean, we all bid apples to apples on this, right?
Yeah, there was 340 some plus or minus feet of fence that needed to be replaced. There's no gates, there's anything like that, so, yeah, apples to apples. Cliff put together most of this for me. He was the hands-on guy down there trying to get this together.
Brent, the only,
This
I'm sorry. go
Bid
ahead.
from Allegiance, he's showing 240 feet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What that is, yeah,
Sure.
Cliff pointed that out. It's actually outlined in detail here, 348 feet in the diagram, 348 feet when they drew it out. I'm not sure if that information was taken down over the phone maybe, and then when they got here, they bid the, that may have been just notes, but actually, Cliff assured me that they know that it's 348 feet.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid from Allegiance Fence to replace the fence around the water tower at the water plant in the amount of $8,259.30.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick.
Yay?
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland.
Yay?
Mayor Absher.
Yay. All right, now we'll go back to item 6C on the.
Yeah, this is the
elevated-
last project. This is the elevated storage tank that has been on the drawing board for some time. We bid this thing once, and we had some issues with the bids, the cost of it and things like that before, when we had, I guess, a partial grant at the time. I wasn't necessarily involved in this when we did that first bid. But through the Rebuild Illinois grant system, or grant money that the governor had sent down, we secured that $2 million grant to go forward with this project. It was meant for shovel-ready projects. They came to Marion. Here we are. We've got money available for things that are ready to roll to get the economy stimulized, or stimulate the economy. That was the intent of this. The time frame has gone a little bit long. We should have had this thing probably almost completed by now, but the regulatory agencies that are governing this money had to come up with a set of rules on how to spend the money. And then there were some things that were attached to this that, complicated the bidding process, things like that. But we're finally to the point where we accepted bids. Some of the regulations, it seemed like, made out-of-state contractors a little bit leery. They didn't want to bid on it. We actually only got one bid that we accepted for this, or that was turned in. The bid was a little higher than what we originally thought, and some of the reasons there, I think I've outlined that in the literature there, and hopefully you guys have read through some of that stuff. But obviously, steel prices have gone way up. When you're building a water tower, that's a significant part of the cost of that. There are some regulations that are some rules that came down with having the state money connected to it, that we had to use labor a certain way. 90% of it, I think, had to be from Illinois. All that was in that literature. Ultimately, it ended up with a bid that came in at $3 million. You probably have it there. I'm gonna have, my old eyes can't even see the fine print here, but the final wind-up on the bid for the tower ended up at $3,974,000. That's not including the engineering that we've had to do prior to, and then the inspection engineering of that. So it'll cause that cost to go up just a little bit more. I think Brian put together all of this. He's got, with the engineering and what it's actually going to cost us, it's going to be $4,214,000. We went back, we started questioning, is this worth it? It was a little bit more than what we had estimated. Obviously, the reasons are because of material prices and labor agreements and things like that. But the $2 million that we have is not available for anything else. That would essentially go back to the state if we don't go forward with this project. And it's paying for half of the project. So I'm going back to the original justification when we applied for this grant. All those things are still in place. Better fire protection. I think I've listed out several points there. Hopefully you've read those. enhance flow capacities for residential development in that area, minimizing pumping during peak usages, having 24 hours of storage without having to pump water, elevated storage in Marion for its citizens. That's a 24-hour period we could go without having a supply from Wren Lake to have water in the air, just in case there's another emergency. Like I said, we're doing infrastructure things right down there at the plant to avert emergencies like Wren Lake happen, so we can always supply water, but you never know what's going to happen. The you know, there are some maintenance issues that that this will help with. With that extra elevated storage, we could do work on different towers without having to go on local pressure and use the VFDs to supply the town. There's all the original reasons we applied for the grant and received the grant are still in place. So I'm on the side where it's a worthwhile project. It's an infrastructure project that is going to do all these things for us. Am I missing anything, Brian? I mean, you've been involved actually longer than I have on this whole process. Brian's here to answer any other questions we had, if there are things that come up that.
You might want to talk about how we did the loan originally and how we're going to handle
The financing of this, since it came in essentially $1 million more. We had Steve and I have been working with some 10-year banknotes on different projects like this. Normally, we got sidetracked on that because of some bond regulations that Steve wanted us to go to more bank loan type things, and we were able to cash flow those. In this case, a 20-year bond is more of an applicable way to fund these things. I think we just need to go back to the 20-year time frame. It allows us to cash flow this project without any hiccups. It's just basically doubling the length of the term. We're doubling the amount of money we have to borrow. So that's where we can make it work in-house using water department funds. It's just a longer term to pay off the project. Is that what I guess that's what you're getting at, Jim?
Yeah, the fact we're going to pay off the loan.
Yeah.
Already sitting there in the bank.
Yeah.
Pay that off and then put it into a bond.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is also going to help with our needs for the southern expansion when that project goes through and things like that. This will
having extra water in the air,
Right.
yeah, it benefits the entire system. The location of this one will more directly help fire flow in that area. Obviously, the pressure's not going to change. It's no higher or lower than the rest of the towers. But when you start drawing off for those local areas, you have less line friction, less line loss through the system. We're able to support the fire department out there a lot better. I talked with Tim Barnett since this all came down to make sure he's still, on board and in need of that. And he said definitely the fire department's 100% behind it. So.
Good, okay. So I will then make a motion to approve the bid for the elevated storage tank on Broken Road in the amount of $4,214,000.
Second.
Doug, you need to visit with Steve and see if he's prepared to move forward on that bond issue or what we need to do.
I'm pretty sure we are.
Okay.
I did discuss it with Steve. I always like to keep him in the loop on ideas that I
No,
have
but if
like
we're
that,
actually going to
so.
go the bond route,
Yeah.
I mean, a full-blown bond as opposed to just a bank note, there's quite a bit of bond counsel and all
There
that
is,
stuff that we gotta do.
and Steve has asked me to similarly fund some of the other big projects that we've got going on in the sewer side. So that's a little bit different, matter, but we'll probably end up combining those since we're going to go through all the trouble of doing this. The 20-year route makes more sense on some of these other things too, because we're going to have a very similar problem when we bid these. It's going to be more expensive than what we originally thought. We know that for a fact.
Well, that might be a smarter thing to do and
Lump
at
'em.
least lock this low-rate environment in for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
What we
and
can.
lump them together
Yeah.
and basically double the time.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's
That's
cash.
it. And like I said, that's the way we've always funded large projects for
Right.
water and sewer. They've been 20-year bonds
Right.
for the most part. A lot of them are connected with IEPA money or things like that, but we've also had the private bonds. So it's the normal way to do it. The 10-year loans came about because we could afford the higher payments, and now we're getting to a point where we just need to extend that time frame to help cash flow it.
And don't forget, we're getting $2 million for this.
Yeah.
We don't
Yes,
spend it,
yeah.
It's gone.
Right.
Yep.
That
That's,
Not that that's the reason, but
Well, that was a big reason for me.
that is a reason.
Yeah.
Any
yeah,
other
because
questions?
that $2 million is probably not going to ever come back. To get
Yeah.
that much money for a project like this, even though the costs right now, I think, have hit a spike, they're higher than they have been. 10 years from now, they're going to be higher than this. You know, that's just the way things go. I don't think we're going to, you know, we didn't hit it at a bargain, but it's 10 years from now, it's going to be higher than it is now. So to get the asset under construction, I think is important to go forward with.
We used to think $2.50 gallon for gas was high.
Mhm.
Now we all probably would love it if it got back there.
That's
So,
true.
You're very good point.
I guess we'll have a Marion logo on it or the tank.
It'll be just like the other tanks.
Okay.
I'm certain of
It'll
that.
be visible from Route 13 coming in.
You'll see it right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Coming in from the east or leaving town going to the east. Yep. The location is, it's right on Broken Road.
It's right by the Stotler lumber sign.
The Stotler lumber sign, yes. That's where we purchased the property was from Bob Stotler.
So it's close to one of the
Yeah.
mains, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tried talking Brent into getting the mayor's picture painted on the last tower, then mixed that one, but there's still hope.
Keep hoping. Okay, we had a first, or motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay, any other questions while Brent's up here? Concerns? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 7A, we've got two requests for variances here on permits. Both of these have been approved by the zoning board. I don't think either of them are very controversial. So I'll make a motion to affirm the zoning board's approval of the request for a special use permit for a commercial establishment with drive-through accommodations at 928 West Main Street, property index number 0613453-002, to be known as Taco Bell eventually.
Second.
Any questions on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Similarly, item 7B, I would move to affirm the zoning board's approval of a request for variance at 1307 Morgan Avenue, property index number 0613126-015, to install a fence on the west side up to the property and easement line.
Second.
Any questions on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 8A, see this in your packet. Be my motion to approve the purchase of 1250 South Midway as presented.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. We've got 4 TIF redevelopment agreements. These were all in the new residential TIF. So I'll ask Cody just to kind of highlight what these are for you and everybody else listening.
So all 4 of these are just what I call our standard agreement, just a pay-as-you-go redevelopment agreement. The first is on Justin Settle's dental office out on the frontage road off of 13 there. He built an addition onto his building, which is a TIF-eligible expense, made some other modifications to fit that addition, and so he's just asking for a standard TIF agreement. That's the first. The second is a private citizen that's doing some renovations to their property, wanted to capture any of that additional increment that he may create with his renovation. And so, again, standard TIF agreement, we will share in that increment. The last two are with Dane and Tammy Castellano, who are pretty common property developers here in town. They've got two separate lots that they have acquired and are going to build, I believe, duplexes on in town. Both areas would be conducive zoning-wise to that type of development. So again, just a standard TIF agreement on the last two with Castellano Properties.
Cody, on the first one,
Yes.
Justin Settle.
Yep.
Am I confused, or does the 460 on the, under paragraph C, should that match the Exhibit 1 number? Or not?
You're talking about the eligible project costs?
Yeah.
Matching up? I don't think it necessarily has to, does it?
Yeah, it should. Yeah, that's just a misprint. So I would say, I'll double check, but I would say the total eligible reimbursement would be what's present there on Exhibit 1, assuming that math works out.
Okay.
I always thought they kind of rounded down on those.
And they very well
TIF
might.
attorneys.
Yeah, they very well
Because,
might.
for example,
Oh, I'm sorry, at the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom there, that little
Yeah,
asterisk point.
the asterisk,
Yeah.
sorry, I missed that.
okay.
So shall it not exceed the 460?
Right.
Yeah, okay,
You good then?
yeah.
Any other questions? Can I read these as one?
I think so.
Okay, I move to approve ordinances 3743, residential TIF redevelopment agreement with Justin Settle, D&D PC. Ordinance 3744, residential TIF redevelopment agreement with Dennis Waller Properties LLC. Ordinance 3745, residential TIF redevelopment agreement with Castellano Properties LLC. And approve ordinance 3746, a residential TIF redevelopment agreement with Castellano Properties LLC.
I would second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Okay, we'll move on to commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Webb tonight.
Yes, as far as streets, we continue to work on the sidewalks. We spent a few days down on the Wagon Creek Road. There's a jurisdictional transfer that we'd acquired some roads down there in Johnson County, actually. So, but anyway, we had some work to get done on there so we can transfer it back to them. So that progressing very well. The asphalt program in the city is done. We've done some parking lots too. I've heard a lot of compliments how the parking lots look. So accolades to everybody involved with that. So we appreciate their hard work on that. We've done some sealing on some parking lots as well. So as far as the cemetery, we've had 11 burials in the month of August and 5 lots sold. So that's all I've got.
Commissioner Steckland?
Water Department, we had 7 new service taps last month, 9 water main breaks. We had 4 services updated. Those of you that were in town this past weekend, I want to compliment Ed Davis and his veterans group on a fantastic parade. I know they made it bigger and better for the 20th anniversary. Kudos go out to all the volunteers, the PD, the fire department, and the slew of volunteers that went into that. It takes an army to put something on that size. Lastly, I do want to give a nice shout out to Brent and all the crew and everybody that's been working on all these water projects and sewer projects, because I know they put in tons of time on all that stuff. So appreciate that. That's all I've got.
Not trivia night, huh?
No trivia tonight, no.
Okay.
Next one.
Commissioner Barwick?
First of all, with animal control took in 28 dogs this month, 52 cats, had a total of 281 calls. They had 51 rescues and 3 adoptions. So please, if you're looking for an animal, contact animal control, maybe do an adoption. Marion Police Department, activity report for August, 31 city ordinance violations, 28 warrant arrests, 286 incidents reported, 149 traffic accidents, and 10 DUIs.
Elks.
Dispatch calls for August, 4,583. August 911 calls, 2,557, and there were 364 ambulance calls. Marion Police Department Narcotics Unit, 21 cases, 8 arrests, 4 controlled drug purchases of crystal methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl, 29.5 grams of crystal ice methamphetamine, 10,968 grams of cannabis, that's 24 pounds, 3.1 grams of cocaine, 25 doses of various prescription-controlled substances, 4 search warrants, 1 seizure warrant for a 2021 Ford F-150. There was $12,480 seized, 2 firearms, and approximately 410 rounds of rifle and pistol ammunition. Marion Fire Department, for the month of August, had 4 fire calls, 6 rescue and EMS calls, 10 hazardous conditions with no fire, 9 service calls, 7 good intent calls, 18 activated alarms for a total of 54. After the Hurricane Ida had hit, we were contacted by MABUS, which is a mutual aid box alarm system with the fire department. It's like a mutual aid entity for the state of Illinois, and they requested help from Marion. So we volunteered 1 fire engine and 4 firefighters to go down to Louisiana to assist in the recovery. The 4 firefighters were deployed to Albany Fire Department in Livingston Parish, Louisiana. Lieutenant Chad Schmid, firefighter Grayson Palmer, firefighter Anthony Stotler, and firefighter Aaron Pritchett have all been down. That was on September 7th that they left, and they'll be there for approximately 14 days. So keep them in your prayers that they'll be safe. And I have to give a shout out, once they got down there, the chief, his name is Joe Foster, he's a 30-year chief in Louisiana, contacted our fire chief and passed on to him that he was very impressed with our firefighters, that they were the most professional men that he had ever worked with, and just wanted to give them a shout out, proud of them. So.
But you said he can't keep them, right?
That's right. I think he wants to, but I think they will be ready to come back. I had some pictures sent, and they're not laying around in the bunks down there. They are working. They'll be ready for a vacation when they get back, I'm sure.
Mr. Patton?
The only thing I have, I noticed Steve had sent me the sales tax numbers recently, and we continue to hold our own. It's good to report. That's all I've got.
Okay. My report tonight has to do kind of a idea that just so happened to coincide with us sending those guys down there in the MABUS program, but it was not my idea. Somebody from the community was actually Illinois State Patrol, or Master Sergeant Brian Lawrence, that suggested to me at the football game a week ago Friday that he and some people there in the stands were talking about, and then Commissioner Stecklin was telling me he had talked to him about it too, about maybe helping some folks down in Louisiana that had had that hurricane damage. And he asked me if he thought the city could maybe collect some items. So we sort of rapidly put together this, and what's interesting to me about this is that, you know, if you think, for those of us that were here in '82 and lived through it, we know what that disaster was like for our town. And for those of us that walked out of their house without any shoes or owning any, and was donated a pair of shoes by somebody else from some other town that you never met, you know how important it is. And so we are going to be collecting this week and next week, 8 a.m. through 5 at the Civic Center, at the Hub Recreation Center, and at Black Diamond Harley-Davidson, a list of needs that a very specific town, and I'm just going to tell you how this came about because I keep getting asked this question. We had no idea where to start. and who might need stuff and who might not. So we started with the town that they staged in, that our guys were going to, which was Thibodaux, Louisiana. And I just had someone from my staff just start calling towns that would answer the phone, not knowing whether there was even any phones to answer. And so St. Charles Parish answered, and they said, literally, I can't believe this. We're so grateful you're doing this, because they had just run out of their United Way warehouse. And unfortunately, it's going to take us a little while to get stuff there. But if you look on the donation list, there's literally something on here that everybody can afford to do. One of the things that struck me was something as simple as 1 gallon or 5 gallon Ziploc bags that they need. I mean, it's literally something you can go to the dollar store or CVS and pick up for very little money and drop off, and we'll take them down there. But it's all the usual things that you would think of, and some not so usual. For example, one thing that struck me was pet food. If you think about it, their pets have been, they can't get to the store and buy pet food. So they've got Gatorade and things like that they can all use, but there's nothing here on their ask list, frankly, that we can't supply. And so fortunately, Black Diamond has agreed to load up all this stuff on Saturday, the 25th. The Marion High School football team, coached by Kerry Martin, has agreed to loan their football players to us to pick up all this stuff and take it out to Black Diamond and load it on that trailer, and Black Diamond, at their expense, is going to take it down to St. Charles Parish for us. So we're looking forward to that, and I would really hope that Marion can have a good showing in this. And like I said, there's a list of this on our website, right, Terrence? I'm sure it's on our Facebook page too. And it's on our city app. So there's a whole list of items. These are literally specific items that they have requested in St. Charles Parish. And so we'll be leaving on about the 24th, where our fire guys will be coming back, and Black Diamond will be passing them on the way back, hopefully with this material as a lasting testament on what Marion's help was 40 years ago, and hopefully we pray so that St. Charles Parish will find that as inspiration, that they can help out a community sooner than later when they're affected down there with inevitable natural disasters. So we hope all of you will get this word out. It's been kind of a quick thing we put together. We really can use your help sharing that post on Facebook, or just telling somebody, or better yet, just run by CVS or dollar store or something on the way out of the meeting and pick up one of these items and drop it off. So that's my announcement, and that's my report. Is there anything else to come before the council under miscellaneous? Okay, we do not have purpose for a closed session tonight, so if there's nothing else to come before the council, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'd second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Barwick? I'm sorry, Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay?
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Thank you all for coming.
And that threw me for a loop.